Hello everyone. You might find this as a surprise, but teachers don't live at school. When I'm not teaching, I enjoy traveling the world. This time around, I went to Puerto Rico for my birthday. And of course, I learned a lot while I was there. Let me show you what I learned. I visited Puerto Rico, which is an island in the Caribbean. It's connected to the United States, but it's not technically a state. It's called a U.S. territory. That means that people who are born there are still considered U.S. citizens, but they maintain their own culture and identity. The United States is responsible for defending the country, but they also have their own local government. It's an interesting mix of the two, because Puerto Rico also uses the US currency, the dollar bill, but then they decide to use liters instead of gallons for gas. People in Puerto Rico most commonly speak Spanish and English. Yo también hablo los dos. Before Puerto Rico was called Puerto Rico, the island was actually called Boriquen by the indigenous Taino people. That's why a lot of the locals there still call themselves Boricua as a way of remembering their past and their culture and their roots before the United States claimed Puerto Rico as a territory. In other words, las palabras tienen historia. Names carry stories. They make us who we are. We can choose to accept certain labels, or we can choose labels for ourselves. Here are some pictures of Old San Juan. This was the old capital. There are many bright buildings and bright cobblestone streets. A lot of them are over 100 years old. So as you can see, history isn't just in your textbooks in class, it's also in the real world, and it's really cool to walk through a piece of history. One of my favorite parts was exploring the rainforest called El Yunque. You might have learned this in science class, but a rainforest has an interesting biome. It has a lot of biodiversity of different plants and animals, and a lot of them are different from the ones that we have here because of the climate being different. At nighttime, we would hear the sound of the frog, coqui. It sounds like this. All night long, kind of like the crickets we have in Ohio. But what's cool about the coqui is that it only lives in Puerto Rico, so it's very special to the people there. As you all know, I'm an English language arts teacher, so I had to learn about some of the famous writers from Puerto Rico. So Julia de Burgos wrote poetry about identity and being true to yourself, which are themes that you probably hear a lot about in class and are very important as middle schoolers, right? Esmeralda Santiago writes memoirs about growing up between two different cultures. So a lot of our students here, we are from two different places, two different countries. We speak two different languages. So these are really relatable themes that she writes about. Reading different works of literature from different countries and cultures and languages helps us to understand people better, how we might be different and how we might be actually more alike than we think. Culture itself, just living life, is storytelling. Every day that you live your life, you're telling a story with your body and with your way of being. And the people of Puerto Rico tell a very beautiful story through the amazing food, tacos and quesadillas and mofongos and piraguas, through the language of Espanol and the traditions. Everywhere you go, people are sharing their story and they want you to read it. And that's why if you ever get the chance to travel anywhere, Puerto Rico or somewhere else, please do. Cada cultura tiene algo para enseñarnos. Let me know in the comments below, what culture are you from? What can you teach me about your culture? You can also tell me, where have you traveled to and what did you learn when you traveled there? What was different? What was similar? What was something that you really enjoyed? So I think it's safe to say that even when I'm not in the classroom, I'm still learning. I'm still a student, even though I'm a teacher. And the world is the best classroom. El mundo es el mejor salón para aprender. So, now that I'm back, I'll see you again in class, and let's keep learning. Until next time. Bye.